for the second session of our special Zoom series, The Renewing Middle East. This program is a collaboration between the Westchester and Brooklyn Shichut program of the Jewish Agency for Israel, the Westchester Jewish Council Israel Connection series, and the Middle East Center led by Tom Wagner, who is here with us today. And this collaboration grew out of a shared desire to speak with the Middle East, not about the Middle East, to bring real human voices from the region that can bring fresh perspective about the relationships with Israel and to have the opportunity to broaden our own worldview of the region. So today, today's meeting will focus on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And just to set our expectation before the talk, we are not aiming to provide a full historical overview or to cover the wide range of perspective that exists, but instead our goal today is to highlight a specific voice that is often less heard in a broader conversation. And this is what we will do today. My name is Zila. I am the Shlicha in Westchester, and together with me is Lior, who will introduce Tom. So I am passing it to you, Lior.
Thank you, Ila. I'm sorry for my camera problem, but I'm here with you, and I'm honored to present Tom Wagner, the founder of the Middle East Center and author of the Abrahamic Revolution, who will be facilitating all the meeting on this series. We are now on the second, as Ila said, and Tom is an Israeli strategic consultant, served as a spokesman for Prime Minister Ehud Barak, and has worked with international institutes such as the United Nations, the European Nation, and the World Bank. Throughout his career, he has supported numerous Israeli-Arab coexist initiatives, and I can say personally, for me and Eli, it's very interesting and grounding to hear his perspective about Israel and the Middle East. And I encourage you also to sign up for our upcoming meeting through the Westchester Shlichut or the Brooklyn Shlichut. And please feel free to reach out to me or to Ila with any additional information or assistance. And thank you, Tom and Elias, for being with us today. We'll let Tom introduce Elias and open our conversation. Tom will start and we'll interview Elias, and afterwards we'll open it to Q&As. So thank you for being here with us.
Shalom, everyone, and salam alaikum. It is an honor to speak with you from Israel this evening. In our time, the Western mindset almost exclusively identifies the chances for Israeli-Palestinian peace with the specific two-state solution plan based on separating the populations, evacuation of Jewish settlements in the West Bank, and founding a Palestinian state as an entity entirely separated from Israel. But from where we stand, me in southern Israel and my friend Elias in Bethlehem, the Palestinian Authority, we see a different picture. We understand that true peace requires new thinking, not just recycling old plans that have failed us time and again. My name is Tom Wagner, and I'm an Israeli author and strategist, the founder of the Middle East Center. I have dedicated my recent years to exploring new formulas for peace in the Middle East, concepts like political Abrahamism that go beyond standard diplomacy, as I describe on my book, The Abrahamic Revolution. I am joined tonight by my dear friend, Elias Nasri Baboon, a Palestinian intellectual from Bethlehem. Together, we co-authored another book, Unity of the Believers, an interfaith peace plan, which has been released in Hebrew and is coming soon in English. In our book, we present a vision that doesn't give up on peace, but seeks a more realistic, federal or confederative frameworks to achieve it. We propose a future where distinct identities can flourish within a shared space, rather than behind walls. Elias, a man who honors the Torah and prays at mosques, churches, and synagogues, is the living proof that this coexistence is possible. Elias is also behind an alternative peace formula we will introduce today. Let's start, Elias, by thanking you for being here with us. I would like to ask you if you, as a patriotic Palestinian peace activist, support the concept of a two-state solution that will separate between Israelis and Palestinians?
Actually, in our life, normal life, young lady is very shiny, but as soon it come bigger and bigger, need more cosmetics. The two-state solution at that time was very attractive. But after all of these things, it can need some more amendments. And for sure, we cannot say yes or no, because it depends how cosmetics has to be done there.
So what problems do you see? What kind of cosmetics do you think that the peace formula needs?
Actually, it is not a surgery, not plastic surgery. We need just to shine the issues because we already are living in two-state solution already from that time, but not a fully one. It is, some part of it is there, but something missing because we use the same currency, we use the same environment, the same borders, the same economic issues. So it is all linked together with something we can call it one state, and at the same time we are separated. So I think we need to be finding something new that keeps the two-state solution in general there, but it needs some amendments.
And how will that something look, this something new, how will it look like? What is your vision of a reliable peace formula?
I think we don't need a wide range implementing on the grounds. But on papers, we can draft, we can say, we can print, we can erase, we can delete anything without harming anyone. So the plan is not a theory just, but it needs to change the ideas and make some new strategic thinking, looking for the conflict from the other ways. We need now to see what modern life is asking us now after Gaza war. So it must be included, Gaza, in the cosmetics in general.
So first of all, I think that's something that most of our viewers probably don't understand. You refer to Gaza as a separate entity from the Palestinian West Bank or the Palestinian Authority. And I think that in most cases, when people are looking from the United States or from Europe, it looks the same. So maybe first of all, you can explain what are the obstacles for the people of Gaza and the people of West Bank to be part of the same Palestinian state.
Actually, we cannot split and we cannot open it out widely. We need something separated but still connected. And there is some sort of a special needs in Gaza that are not in West Bank and the same versa. For that, we cannot apply the same laws, for example, in West Bank and Gaza during the same. And what Gaza needs is something else that perhaps those who in West Bank need. So if you try to make it full application between Gaza and West Bank, there was always some sort of contradiction. So I believe that we must give Gaza its own free self-determination or self-rule. They can manage themselves in specific daily issues, but they are linked to the central government in Jerusalem.
So you said something that will be very surprising to most of the people. Your peace vision includes a central government in Jerusalem, but also regional governments, for example, to Gaza as a semi-independent entity. So maybe you can explain how do you think it will work, this peace model?
Actually, it is was done, these ideas from the separation plan in the 47 Jerusalem was always something special from that time, and it keeps its own some sort of specialty. For that, we think that religious issue is the most important, and many political and economical issues was always hidden under the political the religious issues. So we have to include religious issue as a major cluster in the plan, and starting from Jerusalem as a common place to bring peace for all.
So basically, until now, the perceptions of most politicians or people who try to mediate in this conflict was, let's leave Jerusalem and the religious conflict to the end and start by creating separation between the people. So first of all, I would like to ask you if you believe that separation between the people is at all possible. But before you answer me, I'll encourage our audience, if you want to ask questions, meanwhile, you can ask your questions by typing on the Zoom chat and I'll read them later. Or if you want to ask something by yourself, raise your hands and we will get back to you shortly.
Sure.
So I'll repeat my question. Do you think that separating the people is even the best option?
Actually, I will answer you in two modes. First, leaving Gaza question, no, leaving Jerusalem question to the end. This is the most big problem that the past leaders had done. They must start with Jerusalem. And if they resolve everything in Jerusalem, then all the surrounding issues can be a copy and paste from what we have to done in Jerusalem. Now they prepare everything around Jerusalem, and when they come to Jerusalem, they will find something that not fit with Jerusalem. But what is suitable for Jerusalem, it will be suitable for the Middle East at all. So wisely, we have to start from Jerusalem. And we don't need to separate people, but instead we need the people come together, no walls, no hate, no nothing, just cooperation, living as a human being together.
So I want to follow up on that point because I think it's very important. And I would like to say that we had separation. If we look at what happened in Gaza, not in the West Bank, which is a different issue, but we had separation between people who lived in Gaza and were under the authority of Hamas and the people of Israel. And no people from Gaza were entering Israel and no people from Israel were entering Gaza. And the separation didn't work. It didn't create calm. The hatred prevailed because of religious issues. As you mentioned, the October 7th was titled by Hamas to fund Al-Aqsa, the Al-Aqsa Typhoon. It wasn't about national issues, it was about religious issues, Al-Aqsa. But I think that part of our audience will probably have a problem to understand the summary of the plan. Because if I would introduce the two-state solution, it would be very easy. Create a separation wall, divide the territory along the 67 lines, evacuate the settlements, separate the people. How would you summarize your plan? What is different in your plan?
Actually, we have to look in the history and why we have to invent new wheels or to discover hot water effect. In the past, there is good practical models that was done between the Jewish people and Arabs and Muslims and even Christians. So it is not inventing something new. We know that a lot of Jewish people were in the Arab and Muslim countries, and they were living there normal before the 48 issue. For that, we can bring all those good practices and put it in a way that we have to resolve the root of the conflict, not just the covering issue without going to the root.
But if we'll go into the covering issue, basically the plan that you propose, or correct me if I'm misrepresenting it, is to have a federation between three entities. One is the State of Israel, another is Gaza, and the second is the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, and to build an Abrahamic confederation in the Middle East that is based on this federation. And this summary is not the entirety of the plan, but it also goes into solutions for the interfaith conflict in Jerusalem and how will Jerusalem be managed. And you also, one of the ideas that you proposed is to have an exclusivity for the IDF as the only army between the river and the sea for a generation or maybe more than that. Why are those details needed? Why do you think that it creates a better solution than the proposed plan of division?
Actually, we have to know that the conflict is not a religious one. It is just between rich and poor people, and strong or power people against those who are without those powers. And you can see exactly if we look between the three major areas in the Holy Land between the river and the sea, we find that at least we have three different levels between those. The most important and the elite and high level living levels are in Israel. Then it goes a little bit to the West Bank, and by the end is Gaza with a lot of poor and a lot of poverty and a lot of. So the cause starting from Gaza, from my point of view, is from the PA, Palestinian Authority. When they moved from Gaza to Ramallah, they neglected Gaza. And they are not sharing it, all the resources that have to be shared with them in position, in the army, in budgets, projects, development. All of this was focused in West Bank and especially in Ramallah on the account of Gaza. By Arafat time, when he was in Gaza, all the Gazans were happy with him and they love him. Because if something happened not fair, they go to Arafat, they tell him, look, we are here with problem. He solve it on the top, on the table, as soon as he can. But when we are moving to Ramallah, in Ramallah, they try to gamble, to also to corrupt or something like that, and they are very angry.
So you're taking us into a very, very relevant inter-Palestinian dispute. And I would say before we'll jump into it, that it's important to understand that the West Bank was occupied by Israel from Jordan, and the Gaza Strip was occupied in the same time by Israel from Egypt. And those territories never were a part of the same country, and they are not the same families. They have, to some extent, they have different Arabic dialects and different traditions, especially when it comes to marriages. And on contrary to what the Western public usually thinks, what you're saying, and I would like you to add a bit to this issue, is that the Gazans won't like to be controlled by the Palestinian Authority that comes from the West Bank and represent another, a slightly different culture, and one that was patronizing on the Gazans while they were actually united. And on the other hand, the people of the West Bank are also not that enthusiastic on being one, on bringing one entity with the Palestinians from Gaza, because they have disagreements.
Actually, first of all, we have to see what is the Israeli effect there. As soon those two parties are not happy from each other, the explosion come to the Israeli side. So Israel must be wise and see how to let them be or in equal issues, or to not let somebody neglect the other. The Gazan, we think that they are gypsy people, or they are just some sort of second level of people. But if you see my, I was in Gaza more than 10 times, I see the people there. They are, first of all, doctors, PhDs, well educated because they are traveling to Egypt, and their culture, they need to rule themselves to show their relatives that they are also doctors and they can manage. So if there was a fair relation between West Bank and Gaza, perhaps it will go, perhaps for something. But when there is no fair and somebody from other side, from West Bank are controlling them, they cannot waiting 100 years on that. As soon as possible, it will explode. And this is what happened in 2006.
So basically, you're saying that the two-state solution, as it was articulated in the West, is ignoring that internal division between the people of Gaza and the people of the West Bank. And
this is the problem.
This is the problem.
This is the problem because nobody think to bring equal rights, equal levels in all the levels. Even now, inside Israel itself, those Arab 48 people are not fully equal with Israel. Even in Israel itself, those who are religious people cannot go to the war. And this is making a conflict inside Israel itself. So all the story or the problem are to be fair between all the people. Not fair, this is God work. We cannot make it fully fair, but at least they are in the same quite level. The small differences between them. It can be, perhaps it can go, but two major different steps or levels, someone will say, oh, stop, why I have to pay all those invoices or bills while the other not?
So if we will ask the people of the West Bank, discreetly, in a closed room, without the press and cameras and repercussions, if the problem is really about equality, would they choose the one-state solution where the West Bank and the Gaza can be a part of Israel and to get equal rights? Would that model be popular in the West Bank, to your knowledge?
As I told you, we are now in the 1, 2, 3 state solution. We are there. Not we are living this one. So we have to just organize it in a way, legal way, to show the borders, not borders with the physical borders, the whole approach to be officially recognized. Because you see, Israel was sending a huge money bags to Hamas. Nobody can say no. When they're sending those money, that means there is a federal relation between Hamas and Israel. The budgets, important issue is the money. If you track the money, how it goes, you know the legal relation between the two entities. Also, in West Bank, Israel collecting all the taxes on behalf of the West Bank people. So if we are talking about money, power, women, these three issues are there and they have to share it in a balanced way because they are living in the same area.
So you're suggesting the possibility that all the sides can adapt to cooperate with each other. Even Hamas, that's how you see it. Even Hamas can accept Israel and to be a part of the same federal or confederative system.
In the past, they accept Israel. Now, as they are negotiating them, a semi-direct negotiation between Israel and Hamas, this is a mutual recognizing from both sides. But everyone hide his issue. He don't need to show that he recognized. Why he talk with them? Both sides are recognizing each other, but not in official way. And recently, when they went to Egypt, they are not in two rooms, separated rooms. They are in the same hall.
So, okay, so basically, what you're saying is that if we will resolve the issue of the power balance and create some sort of system that will make everyone feel included, the Jews and the Arabs can live together in the same shared space, with everyone gets its sovereignty under a federational framework.
Yes, but you know, people, they are not big care who pray in the mosque, who go there, who goes there. They need just 1 cup of coffee by the end of the day, and they have to have some sort of sustainable life, and everyone can live. But if this basic issue we don't prepare them, they have to look for food, money, work, something like that. And if there is some obstacles, they start to let you know. They start to throw you stones. If you hurt by stones, yes. After not, it's start with bullets. Afterwise, it will be with rockets. So the people, wise people must understand the situation. We must read the history and look where it was working well. It was working centuries between Muslims and Arabs. Not the first time. Not the first time. But at least we have to have something. I believe also the Jewish state, when it was established, making this mistake, they start to think that the Jewish people has some sort of supreme rights than those who are in the land before. And this was the mistake, because from one side, they were upper or above the people who were in the land, but in the other rights, they are less than them. And you can see unbalanced rights between the two parties always is making problem. We have to be wise to balance the religious rights and the political rights and the human rights and the religious rights all together in one harmonic plan.
So if we will go into this specific plan and we'll try to explain what kind of federation can actually exist between Israel, Gaza, and the West Bank. I mean, today, and I think most people are not aware of it, the infrastructure is basically shared. The electricity is manufactured in Israel. The roads are common roads. They intertwine together. How will this federation be in reality? Will it be the same as you see it? Will it be the same as the United States Federation, basically different states that have specific jurisdiction, but together they report to a federal system?
We have to first of all be clear what is meaning a federal and what is meaning a confederal. The federal example is the USA, while the confederal is the EU one, which mean the federal one, they have one entity, one budget, one flag, one name, one nationality. So we can say we need to establish a new nationality, neither Palestinian nor Israeli, just Jerusalemite nationality.
Or
Which is,
Abrahamic nationality.
yeah, something like that. We can say in the river to the sea, Jerusalemite, while in the regional one, we can say it Abrahamic nationality. And if we make it like this, that means we have a lot of land inside the river and the sea, and a big, huge lands in the Arabic and Muslim lands. So all the refugees from all the parties can go back to this land, and nobody need to harm each other because there is a big, wide lands. The important issue is how you represent those people. Yani now you see in the Israeli Knesset, there is the Jewish people, there is the Arab 48 people, but the missing is the West Bankers and the Gazans, which mean the Knesset decide a daily issues from West Bank and Gaza without representatives.
So you're saying add Palestinian representation to the Knesset rather than creating totally separate parliaments and two separate systems. And it will be similar basically to the US Congress. Everyone will be represented. They come from different states, but there's a federal system that making the federal decisions, okay? And I think that part of this scenario is the Israeli fear for security, because there are very radical elements in the area. So this is why you came up with the idea that the IDF will have sovereignty in this federal system for at least a generation.
Yeah, it can be there. Who cares? Because now the situation is like this. We don't, as I told you, the plan is a theory plan. We don't need to change a lot on the ground. Keeping what is in the ground. And also, you know that after the Gulf War, a separation wall with many checkpoints was inserted in West Bank between Israel and West Bank. The plan confirmed that walls, they will stay there because we need them to control the crime, the smuggling, everything. So what we do, we didn't change anything, just manage it like something management to the what is there, which means we don't need to Berlin Wall to go demolish one. No, the Berlin one will stay.
And the settlements, are they a part of the Berlin Wall?
I think when we have one nationality, which is Jerusalemite, you can have double nationality, which means the federal nationality is the Jerusalemite, but you can have your own Israeli or Palestinian or Gazian. So it is duplicating of two. And it keeps your flag, it keeps your identity, it keeps your heritage, it keeps everything.
So what you're saying basically is that the settlements can stay. We don't need to evacuate them, but rather instead of trying to separate everyone to each corner, we should find a way to unite everyone by creating new identities and terminologies and political arrangements that will be inclusive towards everyone.
If you see those settlements, they find cheap food, cheap vegetables, cheap services in the West Bank, then they find it in Israel. So everyone buying good fruit, fresh fruit from West Bank. He keeps his dents to the Palestinian dentist. He repair his car with those who are very near to the settlements, which mean they have coexistence together. And many of them, they make the, what we call it, the arm, the name of the place with Hebrew languages. So the Jewish know this one
The
is
sign,
the sign
the sign of the stores.
is repairing something. So they know that it will be cheaper than Israel, so they went there. But during to this whole misunderstanding, now it is little bit lower than before. But before, there is a good relation between those places who give services to the settlements.
So you're saying basically that the settlements are a part of the economical prosperity of the West Bank. Okay, I think that we should start with questions, and maybe we will also have the opportunity to speak about the interfaith issue, which is very important. I hope that this short presentation of a very complex issue made sense, or at least initial sense. But please feel free to ask any questions, whether you rather ask it on the chat and I'll read it, or you want to ask it yourself, please raise your hands. Let's start with the first question by Bob Schloss, who I see that had to leave us. Okay, so it's for both of us. Are there political, cultural, religious, or business leaders in Israel or in Palestine who have been briefed by you on this plan and have partially endorsed this? Will this information be included on a web page you will stand up before your book and is published in English? Okay, so let's start with this one. I'm able to say that we introduced a book to the president of Israel and received a very nice letter from him. We can call it a partial endorsement or a semi-endorsement. Elias, what do you think about the Palestinian politician side regarding your suggestion or vision?
Actually, I am well known in West Bank, in Gaza, and Israel. I use a lot of social media tools with the low cost issues. So by Facebook, by WhatsApp, by meetings. I am in a Jewish Federation, Federal Forum with Jewish Palestinian one with my plan in there. We meet every month or 2 months. We publish what we have there, and we believe that some sort of unwise attempt was not accepted from the Palestinians. For example, you know those the Jordanian one who comes to the Western Wall. You remember him, the one?
Yes, of course, Abdallah al-Mala, our friend.
His family, as soon he go to there, they make troubles his family for him, and they said this is not from our family because he don't we do it wisely. Another one from Hebron, he start to do Emirates.
Yes,
And
let's explain those two issues. So the first issue is about Sheikh Abdallah al-Mala from the Jordanian tribe Bani Hassan, who visited Jerusalem and actually asked me to take him to the Western Wall and take his picture with the rabbi. And the other issue that Elias is mentioning is about Sheikh Jabri from Hebron, who basically suggested, or his suggestion was leaked, is a more accurate language. He suggested to have Hebron separately basically quit the Palestinian Authority and join the Abraham Accords. It was leaked to the media and created a lot of repercussions. So basically, the point over here is that Palestinians / Muslims, peace activists, who go publicly on the media to say that they are willing to accept Israel, to have coexistence with Judaism, etc., receive a lot of backlash. Sometimes it's a very violent backlash, and that's, of course, is an obstacle. Do you want to add anything, Elias?
yes, I have to compare with my own.
Yes.
I can say no one has told me something against my way because I am making it with a special way, gradually and wise and little by little, and the people start interesting in it and accepting it. My family and my church, they always recognize me, and this is good support that public or popular front of our people are supporting it. If they are not supporting, at least they are not against it.
Okay. So another question by Bob was, what steps other than publishing your book and giving interviews might you take in the next 8 or 9 months to inject this as a topic of debate in the next elections in the state of Israel? So this is about the elections in Israel. So I'll start, and I say I have very little faith in the ability of this issue to be a part of the next elections in Israel. We're speaking about a revolution of the conscience. We're speaking about solutions that are not on the table today, that are not a part of the public dialogue today. The Israeli politics, such as the Western politics, is very fixated and doesn't resonate well with good ideas. Um, and those ideas are remote from the public discourse because it demands a lot more understanding of details. And we are in a world today that is very weak in details. And you have to understand, for example, that the people of Gaza and the people of the West Bank don't consider themselves to be a part of the actual same people or nation, not exactly. They're not really enthusiastic to be in the same, under the same governance to get to these conclusions and to understand that it can't work if it's been imposed from the outside. And we should find a different solution that is taking those facts that are little known into consideration. So I would say from my end that this is a long-term issue. We have to educate the people. We have to make the people understand that it's all about changing the perception and terminology and the way we look at those issues rather than to create some sort of a very, almost I would say, impossible maneuver that is involved coming from a situation of killing each other children to a situation of signing a political agreement in a heartbeat. That I'd say that's an unrealistic plan. But Elias, do you have anything to add from your side?
The Israeli election is the good sign that there is a problem there, because you see, Israel had made a lot of election rounds during the past years, while the Palestinians, they didn't do neither one in 30 years or 20 years. So you can see the conflict between those societies, these Palestinians without no elections for 20 years. Those are always trying to find the good people, good government, and they find it not, and they changing, and always they are elections. So a lot of election is not good. Not making election is not good. We have to give wise time to see this government to work at least 4 years, and then we can decide. The problem in the Israeli society, as you told you, the imbalance between, because there are two popular or polars in Israel, and this is a 50% and this is a 30%, and just they are killing each other to find one to make the majority either to jump in this side or this side. And this is will kill all the spirit of any government or something like that, because those 50 who are in the left or those 50% who are in the right, they cannot decide until someone foolish one can jump here or there and he decide, not those 50, nor those 50. And you can see this is the story. And perhaps when we have three different issues and major majority, which means at least 2/3 majority for a federal questions, that mean if we divide the 60 seats, 120 seats in the Knesset, between 60 for the Israeli itself and 60 for the Arabs, and those 60 are 30 for the Gazans and 30 for the West Bankers. And if you make a big decision, for example, you need at least 80 seats approval, which means you have to bring some sort from here or there. And the Arabs can do nothing alone. Israel cannot do alone. Gaza, they cannot do alone. until they find a solution that all of the three parties are happy or semi-happy, because we cannot answer them everywhere. But we have to hear them. They have the representatives of them to know what they are thinking. Because many times, for example, Israel decides something, and perhaps she don't know that will harm the other part. The other part think, look, they making like this because they are hurting us. But perhaps if Israel hear their point of view, they will take in consideration and see what they can do together, all together, and find that all will be happy, instead to consider that this will be happy, suitable for them.
Okay, so there's a good question on the chat. What happens to the idea of a Jewish state? Because you know that this idea is very important to the Zionist Jews. But basically what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is that under the federation, the Israel will be a Jewish state, but it will also be a part of a federation.
Now, if you said that we have to find something, we cannot take everything and keep the others. We have to compromise. If we are talking about the promised land, which means that the Arabs and Muslim countries has given their land to the greater Israel, nominally, by name. And by practice, they can bring Jews, Muslims, Christians, and say. So we can say this is the promised land, the greater Israel is here. And this is the real state of Israel. And if we are looking just at a segment of the current Israel, it will be there also, because they have their identity, they have their flag, they have self-rule, they have everything as it is now. What they will add? Just one flag, Jerusalemite flag, on the ministries.
So maybe a better way to articulate is, again, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the state of Israel will remain a Jewish state with its parliament, but we will have a federal parliament that will be partially made of representatives from Israel and partially made from representatives from the West Bank and partially made of representatives of Gaza in a similar way that Hawaii, for example, or California in the United States has its own state senate, its own national guard, own flag, etc., but it's also a part of a federal system.
Sure, but we have to see that we have at least three different levels. For example, if we take Israel, Israel have the current situation, it will be there. The second level is the federation, another council there. And there will be a third level, the Abrahamic level, which means regional one.
Including the Arab countries as well.
With the entity which comes from, perhaps someday, the president of the Jerusalemite country become a Palestinian or a Jewish one. How the people can trust his plan? So this representative, yani this head of the country, can go to the regional or send or mandate someone to be represent the country in the regional Abrahamic Council.
Okay. I understood. If someone still doesn't understand something, we have more time for questions. I see that there's one question that we haven't referred to yet, which basically asks if we assume that a peace treaty between all the parties is a part of this scenario. Obviously, yes. We're speaking about a federal solution, which implies not only peace between the parties, but also cooperation between the parties. So basically, we're looking at a solution that is even more than a peace agreement. Elias, would you like to add something?
Yeah, now I have to move to the religious cluster of the plan, if you allow me.
So let's try to do it in 5 minutes and to adjourn with that.
The cause of all the conflict, they are hitting that the Temple Mount is the problem between Jewish, Christians, and no, and mostly between the Jewish and Muslims. The plan organize a way depend on Islamic point of view to resolve the Temple Mount question according to the Islamic regulations. And we can see that we are, as Christians and Jewish people, as we called by Muslims a people of the book, we must consider ourselves according to Islamic point of view that we are also Muslims. And
Christians and Jews.
Christian and Jews, they are Muslims.
But because it could be very confusing, I want to stop you for a second and to explain. The term Muslim itself can be translated in two ways. One is the way that we usually, the West or most people are aware of, that basically means people who follow the Quran and Muhammad. But the other way to translate it, which is actually the more genuine one, if you really read the Quran itself, then it becomes obvious that when Quran says Muslim, he doesn't refer to people that follow the Quran, but he refers to people that follow the one God, which means Islam in original interpretation, in the moderate interpretation of Islam itself, is equal to monotheism. So with that interpretation, you would consider both Jews and Christians who are monotheistic as Muslims, but not as Muslims who are supposed to follow the Quran.
And this will enable us to go freely, visit, pray in a certain arrangement without harming anyone if we let all the Muslims know how to see this from the Quranic point of view, because many of them they are washed clean from their Muslim leaders. This is not allowed to Jewish people to arrive certain places in the Temple Mount because they will take it. Who will take the stones? The stones are there. Just we need to visit or to pray, and everyone can pray freely. We don't need to harm anyone because the most important and clear and honest issue is to pray to God. Why I wasn't praying to God? You are taking me out. I need to speak with my God. This is the issue.
Yes, so I see that we have two questions that are related in the chat. Would the West Bank and Gaza, that refers to the Palestinian Authority, police forces, and Hamas, be willing to disarm and ensure Israel's security under this agreement that you described? So how would you react to that?
Yes, by Oslo Accord, they have resolved that in the West Bank and Israel, and there was a joint petrol troops in the borders. This joint petrol Israeli-Palestinian, you can see a vehicle, a military vehicle for those who are Jewish, and follow it by a Palestinian car. And they have their own flags, and they travel across the borders. They have resolved it before. Why I have to invent something new? We can use the same model between inside the cities. This is we leave it for Doha, but we are talking about the boundary where there are contacts or friction between them. We have to use this model if it is necessary. Now we think that government personal weapons between the Gaza and West Bank must be kept to have discipline inside the cities, but heavy weapons that kill more than 5 people in one time must be handed. And Gaza people are agreed to hand it, but they need to understand what is the next step. If they don't see the next step and don't see what is their role in the next step, they will not handing it.
So basically, you're saying that everything should be agreed on, and then it becomes a realistic option. There's another question. I think it would be very problematic for each of us to answer. Who would ensure the disarmament? I can't give answers to that. That's something that the world should answer. Maybe you have an answer?
Sure. Now we have not to force them either here or there to handle the weapons. We have to let them, they by themselves, find what I can do with the gun and what I can do with $10 million. I have to choose. If I have to work and earn money, who's thinking about gun or pistol or something like that? So he will throw the weapons and jump to the factory to work and find money. If we find jobs, find training, find economical tourism to the situation, to the Holy Land, all are busy to collect money and they will be happy like the 70s when Israel was occupying the West Bank. But as after the 70s, there was a large number of settlements, huge number of taxes. There was the first and second intifada.
Okay, so I see we have more and more questions, which is a good sign, by the way, but let's try to give it short answers. Another question, if I understand correctly, from Stuart Green. So Israel, with 550 billion GDP, will now be responsible for Gaza and the West Bank with a 17 billion GDP. I think that question obviously comes to say that what you're saying is you're expecting Israel, which is a wealthy country, to basically give money away to the Palestinians. And that is a problematic concept from Israeli eyes. How would you respond to that?
I will answer. It's easy. You can calculate how money was invested in Israeli weapon in the last 2 years. I think if I was the Israeli one, why I have to spend all this money for weapons, killing each other? Perhaps if I find that the PA in Ramallah are neglecting Gaza, I go to Gaza, invest a little money for the amount of this money, and may bring good life for the Gazans, so they will not explode in the face of Israel. Neither they explode in the face of the PA. They will be happy on their share. But Israel always depending that this is not my job, this is the PA job. As soon as someone are depending on the other, no one do their job, we find the surprises.
Okay, another question from Ann Harper. Would the Middle East countries, the Arab countries obviously, agree to this plan?
Actually, they are play. The Abrahamic Accord are there. Many of them under the table are working and willing to go to work with Israel. You can see the Syrian one, he went to the Americans. You can see the Sudani, you can see everyone, the Gulf countries, Saudi countries, as soon they went to America, that means they are looking to have peace with Israel, either to declare it or under the table.
Okay, I see that there's another question we missed. Again, let's try to give quick answers. From Valeria, from Elias's draft of his plan, seems that he wants Golan, Galil, West Bank, Gaza, Negev, and Eilat to be Palestinian land. I'm not so sure that's accurate. You tell us. He said that refugees would come back. So what would be Jewish land?
Actually, as I told you, when we are talking about Jerusalemite, we are talking about the whole this geographical area that she mentioned. Israel currently will not be affected because just to change the names, no Palestinian in the general heading, but it will be there. West Bank is the Palestine, Gaza is another issue, and Israel had its own current Jewish state. But we are not talking about either Palestinian nationality or Israeli nationality for this new entity. It will be a Jerusalemite one. It is a national one.
Okay. Another question from John Pulin. With support from American Jews waning, will this be possible without support from America? Will this plan be possible without support from America?
We don't need any support or mediator or anything. We must have direct agreement, negotiation between Palestinians and Israelis. As soon we manage ourselves, all the donors, all the country are able to help us and support us. We don't need Americans. We don't need the tax money from the. We will have our own resources depending on the tourism sector, for example, for high-tech sector. We can build our own interest, and we don't need now what we need from the Americans, just to bring weapons. Why I have to have the weapons? What I do with this iron issue? I need something human.
Okay. Last question from Hila. What led you to be active in the way that you are? Can you share significant points in your personal story? And maybe I will add to that, if we have 5 minutes to share a personal story, maybe begin with the story of how you called Jewish women in Jerusalem mother and what happened afterwards.
Actually, as I was born after exactly the Six-Day Wars by 67, it was forbidden and taboo to start thinking in political. My family were strict to open these discussions, and I went over 40 years without thinking any way in this political issue. Then I started working in the NGO sectors, and I start discover that developments are related to politics, and politics are related to economic and the state and religion, and all these clusters are coming to my vision. And in order to start making some development projects, you have to resolve the religious and political question first. For that, I have started a little bit slowly by slowly to let the people understand. And I was not sure what I am doing because I have to investigate the way. I start to go in Jerusalem, first of all to the churches, then to the mosques, then to the synagogues, and use it gradually by Facebook publications. And actually, I was trying also to collect some donations from Muslim people to help the poor people in Jerusalem. In Ramadan, the Muslims give money daily for the poor according to their religious Quran. So I was trying to bring a box, and the people put some money there for this charity. When a Jewish lady passes from the part of the Herodes gate towards her houses in Jerusalem, I tell her, my mother, hello, can you support us to put some small money here? She didn't, she tried to put, but she went. And everything was good with her, but the people was very angry because I tell her to put some sort of money for the Muslims.
And
And
because you called her Ima.
why I call her your mother? It is not your mother. So I start to explain for them. It is a religious lady, big lady. I will consider it as my mother. And she is a Muslim. And I start to convince them that she is a Muslim, even it is a Jew. And all the prayers, people comes there and sheikhs and that, you can see as they finish the prayers, they come out. And the people, the crowded people, start telling, yeah, this is tell the Jewish are Muslims and something like that. I start to explain to them. And there's a lot of things that I use there, and they discover that I am right, but they don't know exactly that the Quran is recognized the Jewish people also and Christian people as a Muslims, not Muslims in the practical religious issue, but as they surrounding or obey for one God. For that, we have to build on this point to tell that these spiritual issues must all the parties know about it, and we don't need anyone to use this spiritual issue to hide his own personal interest and hiding his own intentions to do. For that, anyone need more money? He said, no, this is a political, it is a religious issue, forbidden nobody to pray here. But actually, he is hiding his ambitions. And there is no in Quran or Sharia or anywhere a forbidden that a Jew or Christian can go to the mosque. Just one place, it is in Mecca, it is forbidden. Who needs to go to Mecca? We need Jerusalem.
That's true. Thank you so much. I think it was a beautiful way to end this conversation. Ilah or Lior, maybe if you want to have final remarks, let me know, or we will just conclude.
We just wanted to...
Yes, Ilah.
Lior, go.
I want to thank everyone, and especially for Elias and Tom. It was really interesting and moving conversation. And actually, I know, although those, as Tom said, those ideas are far from the mainstream in the Israeli society, I think it's important we share them and we expose them, and I see you as partners of opening our mind and hear different ideas, and thank you for being here and participating, asking questions. And I hope this will be continued in some way. We'll continue to figure out ways to continue this relationship with the Jewish community abroad, in Israel society, and Muslims and Palestinian activists.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We had a lovely Israeli-Palestinian dialogue, which is something to appreciate in those days. Thank you, Elias, and thank you for our audience. Hope to see you soon. Salam alaikum, shalom.